ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. All praises for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and may the choice His blessings be upon His beloved Nabi Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. As we continue these lectures for Kitab al-Sawm, the chapter of fasting, we now come to sort of some certain other conditions which we must be aware of when fasting or about to fast. Okay, the first sort of thing I wanted to cover is whether a Junubi, someone in a state of Junubiya, can initiate a fast or close a fast in that state. What do I mean when I say Junubi? I mean somebody who's in a major ritual impurity, okay, in a state of major ritual impurity, which requires the necessitation of ghusl, okay. So, for example, you've engaged in conjugal relations and therefore you require necessary ghusl. This would be a person who is then in a state of junubiyya. Now, can this person actually close their fast on that basis? Let's say you have engaged in relations with your wife or your husband, and you woke up late, there's a couple of moments left until the suhoor time ends. You're sort of worried about closing the fast in time, and you're not in a state of purity. What do you do in relation to this? Well, the ulama have said that if you are in a state of junubiyya, you can still close the fast, okay? You can still close the fast, but naturally, in that condition, you need to make ghusl anyway for the Fajr prayer. So you know, this is something that you can do afterwards, okay. So if you are in a state of major ritual impurity, you can actually close the fast. A point I wanted to make in regards to sickness, okay. Now commonly people get this sort of mixed up with wuzu, okay. Now if somebody is sick, okay, a mouthful, up to a mouthful or more, does this invalidate the fast or not, okay. Now the ulama have said that as long as this is not sort of voluntarily invoked, it wouldn't actually render the fast as void. All right. So if you are sick, but it's not done on purpose, you are sick because of whatever reason, whether it's a mouthful or less or more, it wouldn't actually invalidate the fast. However, if you were to voluntarily invoke this sickness and make yourself sick, even if it was a small amount, or if it was amount larger than a mouthful or tantamount to a mouthful, it would actually invalidate the fast, okay. It would actually validate the fast, and one would be required to make up that fast by way of qaza, alright, by way of qaza. So you'd have to make that fast up in the form of one fast at a later date, okay. Obviously you wouldn't make that qaza fast up in the time of the month of Ramadan. You would obviously seek to do it afterwards, because in the month of Ramadan it's more important that you do your farz fasts first, okay. Now, a couple of other issues I wanted to cover in this video. First thing, coming on to after the sickness, are we allowed to swallow a foreign body? Okay, let's say you're chewing a pebble or a piece of metal or a pit. Okay, a pit is that which is taken from a fruit, right, such as a cherry, a peach, or a plum. Okay. Now, generally speaking, if you was to, let's say you were chewing it, for the sake of it, you had it in your mouth, and you swallowed this and it was taken down into your esophagus, this would actually invalidate your fast, okay? It would actually invalidate your fast, and of course, because it wouldn't be done voluntarily, it wouldn't be done intentionally, you wouldn't be required to make up the fast in the form of kafara. That expiation wouldn't be required. However, you would be required to make it up at a later date in the form of qaza, and this would also be the case for the nafil fast. Largely, these scenarios that I mentioned, this would also apply for the nawafil fast also. There are a few distinctions that I'll make, but I'll make those at a later point in the videos as and when they are relevant, inshallah al-Azizul Kareem. Now, acts done by deliberation, okay, acts which are done intentionally. Now, if somebody does have sexual intercourse in either of the two passages, or was to eat or drink to the point that they fulfilled nourishment in their body, and they did this, let's say they've got a fast and they decide, I want to go for a McDonald's, a filet fish meal, because I'm not feeling like I should be keeping this fast, I'm feeling a little bit tired, then on this basis this would be voluntarily breaking the fast, na'uz billah. This would be negligence in the respect of your duties as a Muslim, and your sort of duties as a Sawm, as someone who is fasting in the month of Ramadan or otherwise. So this person, because they would be negligent in this manner, they would be required to expiate in the form of kafara. If the fast in the month of Ramadan is broken, they would be required to do kafara, and that would be that they would be required to either make up 60 consecutive fasts at a later date, or feed 60 people who are destitute people twice in one day, effectively feeding 120 people. It's either or, okay? You don't have to perform both of them, but this is the kafara that you need to do in these cases, as we mentioned in one of the earlier videos as well. It is a heavy penalty to pay, and it's not really something that you want to be sort of falling into as a result of negligence. And this is the power of the fast in the month of Ramadan, and really we shouldn't allow these opportunities to escape us. We should take it by as they say, take the bull by its horns, and make the most of the blessed month like Ramadan al-Kareem, inshallah al-Aziz. May Allah give us the karam to be enable or to be able to do this, alright? And inshallah in the next few videos we will discuss more issues with respect to fasting and our duties. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ.